Hi, this is Chef Skip. Now we're going to talk about Chapter 13, Kitchen Basics. Remember, a strong foundation has to be laid for you to advance in your culinary career. And creativity comes after understanding your medium and your environment. A food service kitchen has multiple workstations. A workstation is a work area in the kitchen dedicated to a particular task, such as broiling or salad making. Workstations using the same or similar equipment for related tasks are grouped together into a work section. Workstations help keep a kitchen running smoothly. Budget and space are the two major issues in determining the number of workstations. The guiding principle behind good kitchen design is to maximize the flow of goods and staff from one area to the next and within each area itself. Maximizing flow creates an efficient work environment, keeps food safe, and helps reduce preparation and service time. The hot food section may consist of the broiler station, the fry station, the griddle station, saute and sauce station, and holding. The garde manger section consists of salad preparation, cold food preparation, sandwich station, and showpiece preparation. The bakery section may consist of the mixing station, dough holding and proofing, dough rolling and forming, baking and cooling, finished cake decorating, dessert presentation, frozen dessert preparation, and plating desserts. The banquet section may consist of steam cooking, dry heat cooking, roasting, and broiling. The short order section may consist of holding and plating, the griddle station, the fry station, and the broiler station. The beverage section may have hot beverage station, cold beverage station, and an alcoholic beverage station. The kitchen brigade. A brigade is a system of staffing a kitchen so that each worker is assigned a set of specific tasks. These tasks are often related by cooking method, equipment, or the types of food being produced. Over the years, kitchens have changed and positions that used to be more common, such as a fish chef, are less common. As a result, there are fewer people available with these skills. Additionally, there has been an increase in new technology and equipment, and it has helped alleviate the need for some of those skilled workers. As a result, the modern kitchen brigade system has become smaller than it once was. At the top of the modern kitchen brigade is the chef. He's responsible for all kitchen operations. Also known as the second chef, the sous chef is responsible for scheduling personnel and covering the chefs or chef stations work as necessary, accepting orders from the dining room and relaying them to various chef stations and reviewing the dishes before service. The station chef produces the menu items under the supervision of the chef or the sous chef. Each station chef is assigned a specific task based on either the cooking method and the equipment or the category of items to be produced. This also includes line cooks. Station chefs/cooks include the following: saute station chef, broiler station chef, cook 1, cook 2, or cook 3. A pastry chef produces all baked goods, desserts, and pastries. This chef might operate from a separate section of the kitchen or a separate kitchen entirely. The expediter communicates orders, makes sure the food is cooked in the right order and for all the parties at the table, and sees that the servers run food to the table while it's warm and ready to go. The dining room brigade system. Like the back of the house staff, the front of the house staff is also organized into a brigade. A traditional dining room brigade is led by the dining room manager, sometimes known as the maitre d', who generally trains all service personnel, oversees wine selections, sometimes works with the chef to develop the menu, organizes the seating chart, and seats the guests. All posts noted in the dining room brigade report to the dining room manager. The wine steward is responsible for wine service, including purchasing wines, assisting guests in selecting wines, and serving wines. The head waiter is responsible for service throughout the dining room or a section of it. The captain is responsible for explaining the menu to guests and taking their orders. The captain is also responsible for any tableside preparations. The front waiter is responsible for assuring the tables are set properly for each course, food orders are delivered properly to the correct tables, and the needs of the guests are met. The back waiter is responsible for clearing plates, refilling water glasses, other general tasks appropriate for new dining room workers. Depending on the nature and the size of the restaurant or food service operation and the type of service provided, an operation may employ some or all of these positions. Once you have your staff trained and your kitchen set up, you are ready to cook. In the restaurant and food service industry, getting ready to cook is called mise en place. Mise en place is a French word for put in place. It refers to the preparation and assembly of ingredients, pans, utensils, equipment, or serving pieces needed for a particular dish or service. It includes not only the production of the dish, but also the setup before and cleaning while preparing. Mise en place solves two basic problems facing the professional chef. Problem number one, there's too much work to do in the kitchen to leave everything until the last minute. Some work must be done ahead of time. Therefore, you should plan and prepare as much as possible before service to ensure that it runs smoothly. Problem number two, most food items are at their best quality immediately after preparation. They deteriorate as they are held, and they begin to lose their nutritional value. Food items need to be made at a proper time to ensure that the quality levels are maintained. There is only one way to solve these problems: plan ahead. Identify each ingredient and piece of equipment needed to prepare, finish, and hold each item before service. Do this the night before when possible. Write a timeline showing what activities should be done and in what order. See Figure 13.2. Make sure to note all steps, including washing vegetables or even prepping certain food items the night before. Assemble the workstation, cutting board, containers, etc., tools and ingredients. Perform advanced preparation consistent with providing the best possible product to the guests. As each item is finished, label it and store it appropriately to prevent time, temperature abuse, nutrient loss, and moisture loss. Once service begins, balance the need to work quickly with the need to prepare safe, delicious, and high-quality food for guests. After service, clean the station and store any leftover food as quickly as possible, observing food safety rules. Consider what went well during preparation and service, what could have been done better, how could this have been more streamlined. Think about these issues when preparing for the next day's work. Here is a sample timeline for vegetable stir fry. It'll take us 5 minutes to gather all ingredients, 20 minutes to prepare the rice and keep warm, 3 minutes to wash the vegetables, 10 minutes to cut the vegetables, 2 minutes to heat oil in a pan to appropriate temperature, 7 minutes to cook when we place the vegetables in the pan and saute, continually stirring. So a total of 47 minutes for that dish. So we count backwards to make sure we have enough time to get it out in a timely manner. The goal of pre-preparation is to do as much of the work as possible in advance without any loss of ingredient quality. The steps to pre-preparation include the following: assemble tools, assemble the ingredients, wash, trim, cut, prepare, and measure the ingredients, prepare the equipment, preheat the oven, line baking sheets, etc. The basic elements of mise en place: knife cuts, flavorings, herbs, spices, and basic preparations are all the building blocks of a professional chef's training. These methods and techniques will be essential throughout a professional career in the industry. Seasoning and flavor. A seasoning is something that enhances the flavor of an item without changing the primary flavor of the dish. Seasonings must be used with care to prevent overuse, but they generally should be added at the start of a dish to create depth of flavor. There are 4 basic types of seasoning ingredients. Salts: kosher, iodized table salt, pink Himalayan salt, sea salt, rock salt, coarse grinding salt, black salt. Peppers: black pepper, white pepper, pink peppercorns, red pepper flakes, green peppercorns, telecheri peppers. Sugars: granulated sugar, powdered sugar, brown sugar, sugar in the raw, standing sugar, honey, molasses, dextrose, sucrose, lactose, and acids. Citric acid from lemons, oranges, or limes. Wine has acid, vinegar, and lactic acid. Flavor refers to the way a food tastes. A flavoring should enhance the base ingredients of a dish or bring another flavor to the product. For example, the addition of a small amount of onion to a consommé, a clear soup made from richly seasoned stock, enhances the flavor without changing it, but the addition of a large quantity of onion introduces the onion flavor to the dish. There are many types of flavorings that have the capability to change the taste of the original food product. Herbs, spices, extracts, fruits and vegetables, aromatic liquids like stock, beer, and tea, cured food, often salt, sugar, and nitrates or nitrites are used to cure food. So what is the difference between seasoning and flavoring? If a cook adds a small amount of salt to the water used to cook pasta, the pasta will simply taste like cooked pasta. That means it's been properly seasoned. However, if the cook adds a lot of salt to cooked pasta, it will take on a distinct and easy to identify flavor of salt. Salt has become a flavoring in the dish, not a seasoning. Herbs and spices are important ingredients used to enhance and add flavor of food. Herbs are the leaves, stems, or flowers of an aromatic plant. Spices are the bark, roots, seeds, buds, or berries of an aromatic plant. Each herb or spice used in a recipe contributes its own distinct flavor to a finished dish, and several of them can be used together to create an exciting flavor combination. Strong, flavorful spices and herbs such as pepper, cumin, basil, and oregano, or spice blends like curry powder, thin herbs, and Chinese five-spice powder can often be used to reduce the amount of salt in recipes. Herbs are available fresh or dried. Dried herbs are much stronger than fresh herbs because the herbs' flavorful oils are concentrated during the drying process. When using dried herbs, lightly crumble or grind them before putting them in a dish. This releases their flavor. When using fresh herbs in place of dry, use 2 to 3 times the amount called for in the recipe. Always add fresh herbs towards the end of the cooking process to retain their delicate flavors. It is common to use both dried and fresh herbs in the same dish. Cooks use spices most often in their dried form. They can be purchased whole or ground. Whole spices should be added early during the cooking process to allow their flavors to carry throughout the food. Cut or ground spices can be toasted to enhance their natural flavors and then added later in the cooking process. Common herbs used in cuisine. Basil, Italian, Mediterranean, and American. Bay leaves, Turkish, Mediterranean, North American, and Indian. Chives, Central Asian and Central European. Cilantro, Latin American. Dill, Northern European and North American. Lavender, French and North American. Lemongrass, Asian, Thai, Malaysian, and Vietnamese. Marjoram, Mediterranean, North American, and Western Asian. Mint leaves, Northern Mediterranean, Morocco, North Africa, and Turkey. Oregano, Mediterranean, Italian, and Mexican. Parsley, all cuisines. Rosemary, Mediterranean. Sage, European, Croatian, North American. Savory, European, North African, and Mediterranean. Tarragon, European, French, and Mexican. Thyme, European, African, and North American. Common spices used in cuisine. Allspice, Jamaican, Caribbean, tropical South American. Anise, Turkish, Spanish, Egyptian, Mediterranean, Central American. Capers, Mediterranean. Caraway, Dutch, Canadian, Russian. Cardamom, Indian, Asian, Guatemalan. Cayenne, Central American, South American, Mexico, Southwest American. Chili pepper, Central American, South American, Mexican, Southwest American, Caribbean, and Indian. Cinnamon, Indian, French, Indonesian, Asian, Caribbean, Mexican, and Central American. Cloves, Asian, Sri Lankan, Indian, European, and North American. Coriander, European, Indian, Canadian, Egyptian, Vietnamese. Cumin, Indian, Middle Eastern, African, and Mexican. Fennel, Southern European, Italian, and Mediterranean. Ginger, Chinese, Indian, Jamaican. Mace, Indonesian, Caribbean, French. Mustard seeds, Asian, Indian, Northern European, and French. Nutmeg, Indonesian and French. Paprika, South American, Hungarian, and Spanish. Peppercorns, all cuisines. Poppy seeds, Indian, Turkish, Dutch, Eastern European, North American, Southeast Asian. Saffron, Asian, Indian, Spanish, Mexican. Star anise, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Laotian. Sesame seeds, African, Mexican, Chinese, Indonesian. Turmeric, Eastern Asian, Indian, Caribbean. Vanilla bean, Mexican, Central American, and African. Storing spices and herbs properly helps to keep them fresh and flavorful. Heat, light, and air all speed the loss of flavor and color. A tight glass jar in a covered cabinet, drawer, or pantry away from heat and light source is the best protection for dried herbs and spices. Avoid storing them close to stoves, dishwashers, sinks, or air ducts. If the spice rack is open, make sure to locate it away from direct sunlight. There are herbs and spices that must be used carefully because their dominant flavors can overpower the flavor of a dish. Rosemary, cinnamon, cardamom, and paprika are all examples of herbs and spices that must be used with caution. The key to using herbs and spices is to build layers of flavor by adding items at various stages of cooking so that they are at their peak when they're served. Seasonings should always be checked and adjusted as the final step in completing the dish. Certain ingredients need to be refined before they are ready for use at the time of preparation. Some of the cooking techniques used in pre-preparation include clarifying butter, setting up a water bath, separating eggs, whipping egg whites, and making parchment liners for pans. Pre-preparation techniques also include mise en place examples, of which include cleaning and cutting vegetables for dishes to be cooked that day. Clarified butter is used for sautéing when the desired end product does not require undue browning. Milk proteins tend to brown when exposed to high heat. Clarified butter is the result of separating and removing the milk proteins from the fat to clarify the fat for the use. Prepare a pound of butter in a small stock pot. Over a low flame, gently melt the butter without disturbing it, no stirring, so it melts completely. Ladle off the white liquid foam. Then ladle off the desired butter fat from the watery bottom portion, which is milk proteins. Discard the milk proteins and properly store and label the clarified butter. Setting up a water bath. A water bath is used to gently cook softer baked goods such as custards and cheesecakes. By placing a product in a water bath, the oven heat is absorbed by the water and gently transferred to the product. This provides a more uniform heating process and prevents hot spots. Prepare your item for cooking. If using a springform pan, ensure that it is watertight. Place your item in an appropriate size hotel pan. Add enough water to cover up to 2/3 of the size of the item's pan. Also ensure that there are 2 inches of space between the item and the size of the hotel pan. Make sure the hotel pan is not too big. For example, a small tureen can be placed in a half hotel pan instead of a full one. And place the hotel pan in the oven. Pour warm water into the hotel pan while it is in the oven until the water comes up to the height of the size of the item being cooked. Do not overfill. During baking, make sure the water level is adequate and does not drop significantly. Add more if necessary. When removing from the oven, take care to ensure the water does not spill on you. Separating eggs. Use 2 containers and a small bowl. Crack over the egg over the bowl. Transfer the egg back and forth between the halves of the shell, letting the white drop into the bowl. Place the yolk in one of the containers. Inspect the egg white. If there are any traces of yolk present, reserve it for use in other preparations. If the white is clean, transfer it to a container for egg whites. It is necessary to separate eggs when a recipe calls for only raw egg yolks or egg whites. Whipping egg whites. Thoroughly clean the mixing bowl and the whisk. Oil residue will reduce the volume of the whipped egg whites. Begin whipping the egg whites by hand or machine at a moderate speed. Tilt the bowl to make the whipping by hand easier, resting the bowl on a folded towel to prevent it from slipping. To add more volume and give the foam greater stability, add a small amount of lemon juice or cream of tartar. When the egg whites are white and foamy, increase the speed of the mixer or your hand whipping. Whip to the appropriate stage. Never overbeat egg whites. Overbeaten egg whites may resemble those at stiff peak stage, but their surface looks dry. At soft peak, whipped egg whites have a droopy, rounded peak. At medium peak, whipped egg whites have a moist surface and form a rounded but fairly stable peak. At stiff peak, the whipped egg whites have stiff, stable peaks. Stop beating while the surface is still moist and glossy. The methods for whipping cream is the same as that for whipping egg whites. The cream should be cold when whipped. Clean and chill both the bowls and beaters in advance to give the whipping cream more volume. Making a parchment liner for a round pan. Parchment paper is often used to line pans to prevent food from sticking to them. In addition, it can be used to make a cartouche, which covers the surface of a stew, soup, stock, or sauce to reduce evaporation, to prevent skin from forming, and to keep components submerged. Cut a piece of parchment paper a little larger than the pan's diameter. Fold the rectangular piece of parchment into half and form a triangle. There may be extra paper at the edge of the triangle. Continue folding the triangle in half in the same direction, kind of like making a paper airplane, until a long, thin triangle is formed. Position the triangle's narrow end above the pan's center. Cut away the part that extends beyond the edge of the pan. Unfold the triangle and flatten it into the pan. One of the most common tasks in a kitchen is preparing onions. Peeling and dicing an onion can be a lot of work, but it is simplified by using the following steps. Hold the onion on its side. Slice off its top and bottom, taking care not to remove too much of the root end, otherwise the onion will fall apart. Stand the onion upright, root end down, and slice it half vertically. Peel each half, discarding the peels. With the half onion sitting curved side up, carefully make a number of horizontal cuts in the onion, taking care not to slice completely through the onion's root end. The number of cuts depends on the size of the dice required. Make a number of vertical cuts through the onion at the right angles to the original cuts. Without cutting through the onion's root end, the number of cuts again depends on the size of the dice required. Slice across the onion to form dice. Repeat steps 4 through 6 with the other onion half. As a cook, you will work with both fresh and prepared ingredients. Once you plan your own menus, you will be expected to provide information on what your dishes contain. The standard format for all of this is in a nutritional facts label. Learning how to read and use nutritional information from a nutrition facts label can help people to do the following: avoid food allergens, plan special diets, and understand the amount of fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, fiber, sugars, and proteins included in each item. Each nutrient on the label is reported as a percentage of daily value, or a DV. The DVs are based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Providing percentages of DVs on the label helps people see how different types of food contribute to their overall daily diets. Figure 13.9 is an example of nutrition facts label. The FDA requires a nutrition facts label to contain certain nutrient information because these nutrients address current health concerns. The order in which the nutrients must appear reflects the current priority of dietary recommendations. Serving size and servings per container. The serving size is the basis for reporting each food's nutrient content and is defined as the amount of food customarily eaten at one time for each food category. The servings per container reflect how many servings are contained within the package. The size of the serving on the food package includes the number of calories and all the nutrient information listed on the top of the label. Serving size and servings per container. The serving size is the basis for reporting each food's nutrient content and is defined as the amount of food customarily eaten at one time for each food category. The servings per container reflect how many servings are contained within the package. The size of the serving on the food package influences the number of calories and all the nutrient amounts listed at the top part of the label. Total calories, the caloric content of one serving. Total fat and saturated fat, the total grams of fat in one serving, and the total number of grams of saturated fat in one serving. Included under grams of total fat per serving are listed. Cholesterol. Cholesterol is listed in milligrams, and the percentage of daily value is based not on calories, but on the daily recommendations of 300 milligrams or less. Sodium. Sodium is listed in milligrams with a percentage of daily value based on a daily recommendation of 2,400 milligrams or less. Salt contains sodium and chloride. Here is a chart of salt and sodium equivalents. One quarter teaspoon of salt equals 575 milligrams of sodium. 1/2 teaspoon of salt is 1,150 milligrams of sodium. 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1,725 milligrams of sodium. 1 teaspoon of salt equals 2,300 milligrams of sodium. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda equals 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Total carbohydrate, dietary fiber, and sugars. Dietary fiber and sugars are included in a food's total carbohydrate content. The percentage of dietary fiber is based on a daily recommendation of 25 grams. This has been associated with decreasing cholesterol and aiding in food transport through the digestive tract. Protein. The total grams of protein in one serving is listed. Vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. The FDA requires a label that lists vitamin D and minerals, calcium, iron, and potassium because they have identified that people generally do not get enough of these and are therefore at a higher risk of chronic health problems.